Hi, I'm editorial cartoonist Clay Jones, and I'm on Mr. Media.
I never planned on sharing my opinions on political and social issues. It's something that evolved slowly over the last 20 years. For example, as an independent voter in the 90s, I found Bill Clinton's behavior in the White House with Monica Lewinsky deeply troubling and did not object to his impeachment. But I also didn't go shouting my views from the rooftop. Then I found George W. Bush to be a likable enough fellow who simply wasn't smart enough to be president of the United States. In the days following 9/11, I thought he was too easily manipulated by Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, digging an international and financial hole for the United States. When Barack Obama came around in 2008, I registered as a Democrat for the first time because I wanted to support what I thought to be a remarkable man. I even worked for his campaign both times, something I had never done before. In 2016, I held my nose and voted for Hillary Clinton, who I did not like, but felt Donald Trump would be so much worse. Trump's consistent anti-American behavior, then and now, has made me more vocal than ever in social media and in person. Now, I tell you all that in the interest of full disclosure because I don't want there to be any doubt about where I'm coming from in talking with today's guest, syndicated editorial cartoonist Clay Jones. Jones expresses his political thoughts and emotion in art every day. He has a somewhat silly style, reminiscent to me of the late Wayne Stayskull, that for the last 2 decades belies a most serious message. Now you can find Jones' funny, biting work where I first discovered it, on Instagram, or self-syndicated daily to newspapers nationwide. His work can also be found on gocomics.com or his website, claytoonz.com, which is ClayToonz.com. Clay Jones, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mr. Media.
You're very welcome. It's great to meet you. I've been enjoying your work for months now on Instagram, and I thought I had discovered something, and I find out that you've been doing this actually for more than 2 decades.
I created the Instagram account several years ago, and then I kind of ignored it. Occasionally I'd pop up a photo, but I think I spent like the last 3 years not putting anything up there. And for some reason, one day I checked it out, and I thought, I need to start putting my cartoons here. And I realized that I needed a new iPhone and everything for that kind of stuff. So I did. I was so ignorant. It's like, I can't even do this on my computer. I need to do it like on an app, on a tablet or the phone. And so, yeah. So anyway, I'm glad. The whole point that I'm getting to is that I'm so glad I just started using Instagram because, hey, this happened. So.
Well, and has it, I'm just curious, of this aside, obviously this, of course, is a high watermark in your career now. But, definitely. I mean, has Instagram affected your career in terms of reaching more people, getting more response? Has it helped you at all? Has it hurt you?
It hasn't hurt. I don't think any exposure really hurts unless you're like a flaming racist or something. But nowadays that probably helps you. But I would say it's still kind of in the early going for me. Mostly, I think it might be an exposure. I'm getting more and more followers every day on Instagram. I wouldn't say it's huge. It's not as big as Twitter and Facebook is for me at this point. I personally like Instagram just because I'm lazy and I don't want to read all the comments. I could just scroll through a bunch of photos, and there they are, and I like to see other cartoons. I like looking at photos, and people are very artistic and stuff, and I just like that,
Now, I'm curious on the business side. You are self-syndicated at this point. I know
Yes.
You used to be carried by creators. Are you cartooning? Is this the sole source of your income?
It is, but there's a lot of other things that you need to do as self-syndicated, and that is you got to work your butt off. You have to recruit new clients and everything. But there's also some income from, I do commission cartoons for, I just scratched, you told me that earlier. I do commission cartoons for the Costa Rica Star, and occasionally I do one for a newspaper here and there. Mm-hmm. But there's also income from the blog. So when people click a link and it goes to my website, I actually get 1/1000th of a penny of that. So that's part of an income. It's from the advertising. Some people buy signed prints, and some people just make donations because since I'm not employed and all I do is cartoon for a living. I don't have any other job. That really helps out. And some people believe in journalism, so they do it. So And there might be a few other little things that I can't remember at this moment that all kind of help and add up. Occasionally, there's a really good reprint that comes in. That might be a few $100 or something.
Does
So,
what I'm wondering is, does making your cartoons available on social media, does that cut into your income, or does that expand your exposure so that it helps your income?
um, I don't know the answer to that one yet. I'm still trying to figure out the algorithms and how to work hashtags. But I know this, that when people share a photo, which is what Instagram totally destroys, but if someone shares a photo on Facebook um, of my cartoon, that means someone's not going to the blog. And that actually steals from me. If somebody posts a link to my cartoon and then people go to the blog and, hey, you're getting it for free anyway, and you might complain about the ads or whatever, but that helps me out. A lot of people don't understand that. I think that we're like in this era where everything's supposed to be free and immediate, and people still complain to me like, oh, I can't see the entire cartoon. I had to click your link. Damn it. Like, yeah, damn it. I made some like a quarter of a penny or whatever on that. But yeah, answer your question. I don't know yet, but I'm still trying to figure it out. And I know most of my colleagues haven't figured it out either because they're all posting photos of their cartoons, which does nothing for them. And I tell them all the time that one click to your website is probably worth 1,000 times more than 10,000 shares of a photo of your cartoon. But photos get shared more.
Right.
So there's a paradox. People love to share photos, and it's a lot easier to get those shared than a link. When somebody brags about getting a photo shared 1,000 times, I'm like, shut up. That's not an accomplishment.
Well, I mean, you and I are we're connected on a lot of social media, which is, of course, how we met, Facebook and things. So I've been, for the last month or two, when I get the daily cartoonist.com, their daily news blast, I share a lot of the political cartoons that they post. And I do that with kind of a mixed feeling. I think part of me is like, I'm really happy to share some great cartoons. On the other hand, I'm thinking, okay, that's a view that is probably costing the cartoonist. But then I balance it and I think, well, the dailycartoonist.com is sharing that. I would think that the cartoonists would be complaining to them, saying, please don't share my art. You're not helping me. So I'm kind of wondering what, because I mean, you know that I've shared some of yours that way, and I'm kind of wondering, what is your view on that? Would you rather someone like me stop doing that, or?
I don't really worry about it with individuals. It's more like the fan pages where they get thousands and thousands of shares. I worry about those. So if you go out and you share my cartoon, and I don't worry about that, share the image. And also, I think with like the Daily Cartoonist, you might be talking about the comic strip of the day,
Right.
and they have like in the context where he writes about it. I think that is a plus, just because of the exposure from that, and it's also fair use. When somebody takes your content and they write about it, and write about what you're talking about, there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally legal, and actually, I think it's pretty much an honor to be included with that. So don't feel bad about sharing those. At least not from my end. Another cartoonist might shake his finger at you, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I wanted to bring it up honestly because I've been sharing a lot of that, and I thought if I talk to you, and I've shared a lot of the other Clay that I know, Clay Bennett, who's also been on this show.
Ever heard of him?
Yeah. I figured one of you guys, especially being in terms of the internet, being at somewhat close quarters, would say, "Hey, Bob, don't do that. It's not you're hurting my income or whatever."
No, I don't think you are with that. I think you're just fine. So don't worry about it. You can sleep now.
All right. Yes, I can. And I like sharing them because the cartoons are so powerful, and so few newspapers are carrying enough political cartoons these days.
I agree.
That I like to, and the response has been amazing. I actually find, for my part, when I share a political cartoon like yours or Clay's or Antelne's or whoever it may be, it gets a stronger visceral response than sharing the latest from the Washington Post or the Daily or the New York Times.
Well, another thing is that you're sharing the cartoonists that are going to get your responses, because Tianis and Bennett are awesome cartoonists.
Yeah,
and they're just really strong, powerful stuff. They're great.
It's true. Well, so all right, so let's change the topic a little bit. You've been an editorial cartoonist a long time, and I wondered, have you noticed the world becoming more polarized in recent years, or has it always been this intense and I'm just kind of late to the party?
I think it's always been intense and polarized. I started in '90, and maybe '94, Gingrich came along with this contract, Own America or For America. Um, and so it's, I mean, there's like a revolution almost from Republicans when Bill Clinton was elected, like how dare he win the election. So it's always been polarized, but it's never been like this. I mean, Democrats fought Bill Clinton. Republicans fought George W. Bush. They fought George H.W. Bush. But now it's totally different. You're either with us or you're against us. And that's something that Bush started with the Iraq War. If you question the war, then you didn't support the troops, which is, a paradox there. I mean, if you don't want to send troops off to die in a useless war, you're against them. And now, if you criticize Trump, you're criticizing America. And the people who call themselves patriots don't want to question anything about Russia. So it's just really bizarre. Yeah, answer your question, yes, it's way more polarizing and divisive. And I'm contributing to it every day.
Yes, you are.
I am.
You are.
When people say, oh, when I see cartoons, people complain about it, I'm like, yeah, it sucks, but we're doing it. I'm part of it. I know I'm contributing to it. I own it, that's what we do. And I'm not going to stop. I feel like there's a lot of things that we have to like argue against that's going on bad in this nation. And if that makes me polarized or make it even more polarized, sorry, but going to keep doing what I think is important, what needs to be said and done. So
I was going to say, I'm thinking about what you were saying about under Bush, you were either with us or against us, and now it's even more so under Trump. I'm thinking that was probably also the case of the president who was in office when you were born in '66, I think, right? Was
yes.
Lyndon Johnson. There was this, and it cut across party lines. There were people who felt that who were either we had to be in Vietnam or not, and it didn't. It wasn't necessarily a right or a left thing because I mean Johnson was a Democrat pushing this war footing.
Foreign policy didn't change, did it?
No.
From one president to the other.
No.
And Democrats protested at the Democratic National Convention, in 72? I mean, yeah, a lot of that cross-party lines. So I'm sorry I interrupted.
No. Well, and so kind of what I'm kind of wondering is, and I think you just answered my question, to do what you do, how much knowledge do you have to have of political history? How informed do you have to be? Like, for instance, I was curious when you were born. We're about 6 years apart in age. Let people guess which one of us is older and younger. But they can't see me, so they can guess. But the question is, have you had to become a student of politics or American history to do what you do, or do you just go with whatever happens in the day?
I think you need to know the stuff. You need to know history. Political history, American history, world history. You need not just a grasp of it. You need to know it. You need a firm grasp of it to the point where you forget stuff you know. But most political cartoonists, that's not really a problem because they were history buffs before they became a cartoonist. If there's a political cartoonist who doesn't really know history, he shouldn't be doing it. I was a history major before I dropped out of school. I was a history buff in high school, even in junior high. Kids used to ask me how come I was so smart in my history class, and I'd always tell them, well, you don't have me in math class. And to me, history was not it didn't mean I was smart, it just meant I read. I just knew this stuff because it was a love affair with it for me. It was, from reading novels, reading history book was, I loved that just as much as reading a novel. It was just fun. So yeah, a cartoonist needs to know their history. And we need to also go back and brush up on it constantly. We need to know about impeachments, from Johnson to Nixon, to Clinton to what's going to happen today after Trump is impeached. We need to know this stuff. So.
Oh, if only that were happening today.
Well, Trump's going to be impeached. I don't think he'll be removed, but he will be impeached. I'm calling it here.
Mark the calendar.
Yeah.
Whenever you hear this, folks, this is the day that Clay Jones confirms that Trump will be impeached.
I already done that on my blog, but I'm doing it here on video for the first time, probably.
There you go. So, like I said, there will be triggers. There are triggers in this conversation. So, have your politics evolved over time? Did you start in a different place? Yeah,
I did. I consider myself much more conservative when I started. I started in 1990, and I consider myself very conservative, which is kind of weird because I was always promoted some liberal issues at the same time. Like, I mean, when George H.W. Bush was for a flag burning amendment, I was totally against that. I was always for gay marriage, and I was against abortion, but I came around on that maybe in the late 90s. And then I voted for George W. I voted for McCain first, then I voted for George W. And I've never been a member of a party. I don't want to be in a party. And then by the time Bush ran against Kerry, I voted for Kerry. I didn't like Kerry, but I knew that I felt like we couldn't have Bush anymore. And I was pretty much done even considering myself a conservative, which was a problem with my newspaper. And then I just got more and more liberal as it went on. And I just kind of gave up. I realized I was probably a secret liberal my entire life. And I just, for some reason, I didn't realize it. And then I just gave up. And it's such a who I am and what I am.
That's interesting.
Interesting. But the reason I think I'm a liberal is because facts favor liberalism. And I like to use facts in my arguments. If you use facts, you don't really have to worry about spinning or being wrong. If you are a Trump supporter, I've never heard anyone argue for Trump without lying.
Right.
And or they also have to bring up Obama or Hillary. And the thing is, if you're a liberal and you want to argue against Trump, you don't have to lie. You never have to lie at all, ever. Some people do lie, and I'm like, stop that. You don't have to do that. You don't. I mean, when some people make up quotes of stuff that Trump said that he didn't actually say, it's like, why are you doing that? It's like making up quotes for Sarah Palin. You know?
Yeah, there's no need to make stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem I've had in recent years, and the reason I, in the introduction, talked a little about where I've been in terms of my views, is that I've always thought that I was a middle-of-the-road guy on pretty much everything. But I think that the middle of the road has shifted, and the definition of a conservative has shifted. I mean, I listen to Joe Scarborough sometimes, a guy who 10 years ago I thought was a crazy conservative, and I could never have agreed with him. And he's found that his views are more towards the middle now, and which I guess has pushed me a little further to the left. But it's just very strange. I don't think of myself as a crazy liberal, overly liberal, left-wing person. I just think I'm kind of in the middle. But I think that the right has gone so far over that where I stand on things seems like it's further than it is. I just don't.
I think you represent most of America. Most Americans are very much in the middle. I accept that I am more liberal than most people. And I think there is a place for conservatives. There is conservatism. It's still out there that does not belong to the Trump sycophants. But the problem for conservatives now is that there's not a party for them anymore because the Republican Party has been destroyed and now it's the Trump Party. And the whole party just does not provide any checks and balances to the president. Your party's over. I mean, it's not there. It's not even about policy or ideas or principles anymore. It's about the cult of personality. And that's the problem that conservatives are having. People like Joe Scarborough or Dave Foley, a congressman from your state, former congressman, Nicole Wallace. Steve Schmidt, great one.
Dave Jolly.
Yeah. Was it Dave Jolly? Or did I say Foley? I don't know. I might have made that one up. Yeah. But yeah, Dave Jolly. But they are conservatives, and they haven't stopped being conservatives.
Right.
They're still conservatives, but the Republican Party is betraying them. It's selling them out.
Yeah, and I know that there are conservatives that I have voted for over the years because at the time where they were was a place that I was comfortable. But the people who are calling themselves conservatives now, most of them, I think that they're a little crazy. I just don't understand what came washing over them. I don't even want to be a Democrat per se. I want to vote for people on either sides. I want to vote for the best person for every office, but the Trumplican Party is just giving us, those of us who want to be in the middle isn't giving us any options. So
yeah, I've never been a party person. I've never been a member of a party, and I never will. I'm voting Democrat now. I think the Democrats are the only answer because it's the only thing that we got.
Right.
But yeah, I've never been in love with the party. I don't want to pledge allegiance or loyalty to anything because I would be very disloyal.
Well, I want to talk to you about current politics, a little more about Trump and things. But I also I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you got into this. Were you funny as a kid? Did you always want a cartoon? Did you have something else in mind? And how did it become a career?
Um, I think I kind of fell back on it whenever, even though I always wanted to do it, but I also wanted to be a rock star. And the rock star thing wasn't working out. And I was kind of stuck in a rut where I was working in grocery stores and in a convenience store. And I realized I always wanted to be a cartoonist. I always cartooned. I drew comic books with friends of mine. And then I started doing them by myself because I realized I work better by myself. And that's what political cartoonists do. We don't work well, play well with others. Um, and I wanted to work for Mad Magazine when I was a kid. And yeah, I think I was always kind of funny. I wasn't always the funniest person. I wasn't always the quickest with the wit. I always thought I was funnier on paper. Like if you said something and insulted at me, I'd have a great retort for you 2 days later. And I still kind of like that sometimes. But I thought Mad Magazine was my dream. I didn't even look at political cartoons until I started cartooning. I started working for this weekly in Mississippi, just freelancing, and I did like a strip a week. And they had a local guy doing a editorial cartoon. And then I saw those, and I saw the cartoons in the Jackson newspaper and the Memphis paper. And the Memphis paper was Scott Stannis, and then it was Ramirez. And I thought, I can do that. In fact, I think it'd be a lot more fun than doing a comic strip. And I like doing political because I could change the subject each day. I wasn't married to any characters like with the comic strip. I could change the format. And so it was just more fun. I could just write something new the next day. Didn't have to continue a storyline, and it just appealed to me a lot more. And plus, the biggest thing, people reacted. I'd heard from them, and for some reason, that really attracted me to make people respond, whether it was anger, sadness, or just frustration or glee. It was just good that your work had an impact. And I'm sure comic strip guys have that too, but I wasn't getting that. Maybe my comic strip wasn't really that good. But and looking back, probably wasn't. But I think I was made to be a political cartoonist.
Has your drawing style evolved over the years?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
I think every day I look at stuff that I did last year and I cringe. The stuff that I see from when I first started, in 1990, is just terrible. I have a book that came out in 97. I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking at it. And I look at stuff that I did a week ago, and I kind of cringe sometimes. So yeah, the drawing style does evolve, and I'm not where I want to be with it yet. I want to be totally crazy, spontaneous, and I'm not that comfortable in my skin yet with it to be as weird as I want to be.
So in the introduction, I said that your style reminded me of Wayne Stayskull. I don't know if you're even familiar with him.
I am.
Oh, okay. Is that a compliment, or is that because it was meant as a compliment?
It's a compliment, but I vaguely recall why he did it. I do remember that he was very loose and kind of messy, sloppy. That's it. I'm like Keith Richards with cartooning. I'm the same way in guitar playing. I'm a very sloppy player, and I'm a very sloppy cartoonist. And my favorite cartoonists are the sloppy guys, the very spontaneous guys who are also great artists. And I'm not a great artist, but these guys are, and they're brilliant. People like Pat Bagley, Mike Lukovich, and I loved when I first started cartooning. One guy that really appealed to me a lot was Mike Peters because he was insane.
Sure.
And his drawings were crazy, his humor was crazy, and I thought I want to be that nuts.
I think I'm sorry now I didn't mention Mike Peters when I was describing too. I like Stayskull, who I knew was at the Tampa Tribune for years. Actually, completely opposite of you in terms of politics.
Yeah.
Very, very far right guy. I don't know if he would be considered as far right today as he was considered 15 or 20 years ago. Wayne just passed away about a month or two ago. But I knew him when I worked briefly at the Tribune and stayed in touch with him over the years. And he had, I would never have used the word sloppy, but it was a very cartoonish style versus some people who are more photorealistic even.
Well, a David Horsey is very photo, Clay Bennett. very much. And then a guy like Stays Cole and myself, we're just like, you can tell they're like, maybe.
Is that how you hold a pen? Because I wanted to ask you about that.
It is not. No, I hold it typically like, just my sorry to shook the screen. It's
all right.
But yeah.
We all have a little
I hold it like
sickness,
a normal person. Okay. I hold a fork the same way. Oh. I don't do that either. No. Or what is it that? Yeah.
So do you draw with a fork or do you draw? No, I'm just kidding.
No, not anymore. Not since that injury.
Oh, ouch.
No.
And tell me about your output daily. Do you do one cartoon a day? Do you do more? Sometimes I feel like I'm seeing more than one a day from you, but that might just be me catching up.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it could be just you catching up, but sometimes I'll do a bonus cartoon if there's something that's really, really bugging me. And I don't mean the issue. I might have an idea, and I really want to get it out, but there's also something else I want to do. So I feel like I need to up my output. And but my plan is, the schedule is Monday through Saturday, brand new cartoon. But lately I've been drawing on Saturdays, so some days people have been getting a new cartoon for like the last 3 weeks or so.
Why? Has there been breaking news? Have things been happening? I've been out of touch for a while.
Really? Yeah. There was something that happened, but I can't remember what it was. Some guy with like weird hair or something. But yeah, I try to do one every single day, and that's what I promise my clients. And I work at night. I start around midnight or so, and then they get it about by the time they get to work. There should be a new cartoon in their email, and then on some days I might get 2. But I don't promise that. It just kind of happens.
Are there days when you feel like you wish you could turn out more cartoons because there's so much happening, or is 1 to 2? Is that really enough for most?
1 is enough. 2 is probably too many because you like each cartoon to have a shelf life, because the next cartoon kind of bumps it out of the way. But I know that when I do the second one, so 1 is enough. I might be doing too many, doing 6 a week, doing 1 a day. Some guys do 3 or 4, and they're doing great, just fine. I don't think I can do that, because cartooning is what I do. When I take a day off, it's like, what am I going to do? Watch movies, and then I'm like, I want some coffee. I drink coffee when I cartoon. You know what? I want to make some coffee. I might as well draw this cartoon idea I have today. And I got a folder full of like ideas, kind of just waiting, because lately I haven't had a day where there's not a subject. I've had writer's block, but since Donald Trump came along in 2015, there has not been a day where I didn't have a subject. And that used to be a thing for every cartoonist, and I think other cartoonists would tell you this too. I get off topic a lot, so you can stop me if you want.
You're good.
But we used to like go to work sometimes and go, oh my God, there's nothing. I don't know what to do. I mean, there's nothing good. I know I'll do a cartoon about litter, and crap like that, which editors love, by the way. But lately, in the last 3 years, I ain't had a problem. Not one day where I might have trouble coming up with an idea, something that's good enough for me, but no problem finding an issue. Yeah. And while we're on video, let me tell people watching this, don't send me any cartoon ideas. Stop. I'm not drawing clowns, okay? I'm not doing Humpty Dumpty, no more Pinocchios, and no roller coasters for the stock market, okay? I mean, I appreciate it, but I don't need your ideas, because I got plenty of my own, and it's nice that they think of us and they think of me, and I'm always flattered by it, but you can't write ideas. And here's the other thing. Your idea is not my voice. It's not my expression, okay? I'm not signing your name on it, so I have to write my own ideas. And I know I can sound like a big dick, but yeah, I'm not doing your cartoon ideas. And no cartoonist will.
Right.
None will. So, but we appreciate it. Thank you. You know what? Draw it yourself. I'd love to see it. I'd like to see ideas.
There you go.
And those are great. And don't worry about it. And I get people say, I can't draw. I'm like, I can't either.
And Humpty Dumpty and roller coasters a little too on the nose too, aren't they?
Oh, man. Yeah, but here's the thing. Professional political cartoonists are drawing those. I've seen like 30 Humpty Dumptys over the past 2 weeks. CNN showed one. Look at this Humpty Dumpty cartoon. It's hilarious. Yay. Yeah. How do you pick that one out of the 80? So I'm a very condescending, cynical person, as you can see by now.
Oh, we're fine. Right. One of my favorites of yours, it's in the last couple, I think it's the last couple days, or maybe I'm just...
The No cartoon?
The No, yeah. Boy, I love that. And
how did I know that?
Yeah. How did you know that?
That's the one that everybody just blew up about over the past week. I'm glad with that. Sometimes I'm like, why is that one the favorite one of the week? But that one, no, no.
Explain that for people who don't know what we're talking about.
I'd show it to you, but I don't have it in front of me because it's on this screen. It's on this computer. I have, there's a story about people able to just take a typical saw from Home Depot and cut through the steel slats. And
well, you're talking about the Trump's wall and
the wall
and the sample that they put up. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had Trump on the day of his border visit. He's at the wall, and the other side is Nancy Pelosi, and she carved out a big no.
On the other side of the wall.
Right. And he's saying worst photo op ever. I was going to do something on Russian collusion with the Paul Manafort story had just come out about him selling polling data, and I was going to do this cartoon about him. And then I kind of thought about him writing collusion on the wall, like cutting it out while Trump's there. Oh, this, doesn't distract us. Horrible photo op. And I thought, that's a horrible idea, but I like cutting it to the wall. And then from there, just like ding. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to draw Manafort today. I got to do this because I thought I like the idea too much. And when I like the idea, that means I got to do it because most of my ideas, it's hard to make myself laugh. Mm-hmm. But when I do it to myself, it's like, oh, that definitely has to go. And maybe nobody will get it when I do make myself laugh, but it's still got to go. It's still got to be done. And then everybody just blew up about that one. They just loved it. I mean, went crazy.
The comic, it certainly wrote itself. It almost drew itself by the fact that there was actually a picture of that somebody took a standard saw and cut through this amazing fence and could go right through it. And it's just like, oh my God. And the way you carved out no in it was just, I love that.
I wish it did draw itself because that thing took 7 hours. Normally,
is that right? 7 hours?
That one took 7 hours.
Oh my God.
That was a pain in the ass.
How many different variations were there that day, or was it just drawing?
Just the one. No, it was like to cut out the white space between the slats, to make sure that they all landed properly. Because, like say, there's a speech balloon in the way, and then you cut, then you want it to land, to continue where it's supposed to be, and just doing all that kind of stuff. And when you're doing it I do it on a tablet, but I still do it like old school. I'm drawing on paper, so it's still just my hand and my eye that I'm using. I'm not using any computer tricks for that stuff. And just getting it all in there with the color, making everything land right, even though I'm being sloppy. And plus, well, I can procrastinate a good bit while I'm drawing, but that took 7 hours to do. Wow. And it was a pain in the ass. And then sometimes I'd miss something, like one slat didn't land right, and I had like the background where the slat's supposed to be, so they had to go back and fix that a little bit. And yeah, that took like 7 hours. And I thought when I had the idea, this is going to take like 20 minutes. This is going to be so simple.
Right.
And then like halfway through, and I record the cartoons, and I had to cut a lot of that one out because it was getting too long. And I was wrong about how long that one was going to take.
And do you, in terms of the technical process, are you drawing by hand? Are you using a Wacom? What's your medium for doing these?
I do it on Surface Pro, and I do it on the software is Corel. I'm trying to check the screen here. Use a stylus, but it's just like a regular pen. Had to get used to drawing on glass. And the only thing that I do differently with the whole program is that I get to do the back button, which only goes so far back, and the eraser thing is really cool. But I don't really use any tricks. I don't do any fill. I don't cut and paste. I don't copy. I just draw it like I do it on paper. But the other cool thing is that just like in Photoshop, I can add a layer to do my coloring. And but I do get to combine colors with the ink a lot more than you could with paper. Plus, I don't have to wait for drying. And the biggest reason, this is really, really stupid, the biggest reason that I started drawing on a tablet is because I got tired of eraser crap. I'm trying to find an eraser here. I still have them. Unfortunately, I bought like 2 years worth of paper before I bought the Surface Pro. No more of this stuff.
Yeah. I hate those. I know.
This is the best eraser out there in the world for drawing.
Uh-huh.
But I haven't used it in about almost 3 years now. And I just really got tired of having eraser crap everywhere. My son used to walk in the room, and because around my desk was always like this big circle of the eraser gun. And he'd go, Dad. And I don't know why it bothered him so much, but it did. I mean, when he was a little kid.
Well, and I wanted to point out to people that one of the reasons I like to do the video interviews, especially with artists, people who are graphic, is because I often ask, "Can we see your desk and can you demonstrate to us?" And you were very sensitive about that because you felt like, well, I just work on this little desk, and you do
I
it.
can show you.
You do it. Yeah, I mean, if you want to
You
show
don't
us a
mind me
little
moving you
something.
around.
No, no, no.
You don't mind dancing. Ooh. I got to warn you though. This is also my bedroom,
Okay.
and I'm gonna try not to show you the bed because I don't want people to like get excited.
Well,
But
are there naked people in the bed?
there are, and I told them to be very quiet.
All
All
right.
17 of them.
They've done well so far. So you watch
Yeah.
TV during the day.
And it pretty much stays on TV on news.
Okay.
All week until Saturday.
Oh, there's
Saturday,
Nicole.
Saturday, I change the channel, and I watch either sports or a movie. My desk is very dumb. It's a desk my mother bought me when I was 15, and then I gave it to my son, and now he's not using it. And the space in here is so small, and I gave away all my drafting tables that I started drawing on this desk, which is way too small for me. My legs barely fit in the little.
Oh, there
see
we
that?
are.
Yeah,
Yep.
this area. It can barely fit in there, and yeah, it is a small desk.
Wow.
It's very small.
That is really really small for someone who's making
it is.
it
For a
their life art.
professional big league in the Washington Post cartoonist, it is very small. But you see the guitars?
Yeah, lots of great guitars. There's a little
Thank you.
amp. How many guitars in the room?
5.
Wow.
There are more guitars here than naked people.
That's too bad. You got to work on your ratio. It's
I know. The guitars are supposed to get you the naked people.
well, so
it's overrated.
since we've managed to mention naked people, I want to
only twice, 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
If you want to bring your screen a little bit so we can see the painting behind you a little bit more, because there's the story there. Where do you go?
Actually, let me unplug this.
Okay.
All right. The painting.
All right. So there she is. So
that is Grace.
So I want you to tell us about Grace in a second. Whoops. We're all sideways now. There. That's good. That's good. So I'm going to ask you about Grace in a second, but I want to tell you a story before I ask you a story. So I did this biography of the cartoonist Will Eisner years ago, and he told me the story. I'm in his house, and we're walking down the hall, and he's telling me about all the pictures on his walls. He says, "This is a painting I did of my father, and next to it is this picture of this naked woman." And he said, for years, people would come to his house and say, "Oh, that's your father. So next to that, is that your mother?" And he's like,
my God.
"Why would you think that I would paint a naked picture of my mother?" So anyway, so behind you is this painting of someone named Grace. So for those people who listen to the show and don't watch, it's a woman who is either cutting or combing her hair. She's in a bra and jeans. So and this has been over Clay's shoulder the entire time we've been talking. So I got to ask, what's the story of the painting?
Oh my God. And I'm feeling so bad right now because he deserves a shout out. I worked with this artist's wife. He's a local painter, and he's well known here locally. Bill Harris. Oh, thank God. Bill Harris. I worked with his wife, and one day he asked for a cartoon that I drew. He wanted to give to somebody else, so I gave him the cartoon, and I said, well, and then and I thought my cartoon is cool, but these paintings he sells like $1,000, and I'd seen this painting before because I know the girl in it. Yeah, I used to drink with her, and she's kind of like the person. She is the person in the painting. She travels a lot. She's a little bohemian, a little goofy, really cool though, sweet girl. And she modeled for Bill. Bill doesn't do anything real nasty or stuff like that, but he likes the human form, and he likes local scenery. And I let him borrow my apartment a few times. I had a different apartment that was downtown. It was very, very old, and he asked if he could use it for some nude paintings and stuff in there. And I was not there when he did it. I just left it alone because I didn't want to be that creep in the corner, looking at college girls who were naked. So I just gave him my apartment and I left. But he gave me a painting, and so that was cool.
The way to do that is the way Belushi did it in Animal House.
I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat. Well, you're frozen right now. I'm gonna wait for you to unfreeze.
I'm sorry, Clay. Can you hear me now?
I'm waiting.
Clay?
I'm waiting.
Hello, Clay.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right. Well, go ahead and sit back. Yeah, there you go. Sit back down.
Yeah.
I was going to say the way to look at naked college girls would be the way Belushi did it in Animal House, with a ladder and popping along from window to window.
But I think that's illegal, and you probably get a reputation.
I didn't say I was going to do it. I'm just saying that would be the way to do it.
But don't suggest I do it.
I'm not. I'm not suggesting anyone do it, but I'm saying that would be the way to do it if one.
And I'm a lot older now than Belushi was when he did that. That'd be even worse, probably.
Yeah, that's a little scary. Yeah, you're probably
Yeah.
right. Well, let's ignore that.
Like a quagmire out there.
So we're gonna wind up because we've just been we've been going on a little long here, but it's fascinating. I wanted to ask you about your Trump, your characterization of Trump.
Oh yeah.
It
How
seems
can we
like
do without talking about that? Yeah.
yeah, it seems like every artist has to, whoever the president is, it's not just Trump. If it was Obama or W or Reagan or Clinton, there's some characteristics, some physical characteristics that everyone focuses in on. For you, it's his hair, and people go, oh yeah, big deal, picking on his hair. But you've done something interesting with his hair that you recur with. Can you talk a little about that?
That's the funny thing is that I get so many comments about that, even from other cartoonists. And I think at first I was trying to do what other cartoonists do, which is like, how do I make fun of this that's already ridiculous? It's already absurd.
Mm-hmm.
And I try that too. Let's just try to make it sweep around or whatever. But then I just gave up. I thought, it looks stupid. Let's make it even dumber. And to me, that was a good point, not a good reason not to vote for the guy. Hey, if he's dumb enough to do his hair like that and he's a billionaire, yeah, that just tells you too much about his ego. So I just went crazy with it, and then it got crazier and crazier and crazier, and I get more comments about that about anything else, and even from other cartoonists, and they're all positive for the most part. Funny thing is, sometimes somebody would tell me, your Donald Trump doesn't look anything like Donald Trump, and I tell them, I know he doesn't, but it's Donald Trump, and I'm going to make another claim right now, since we're talking about that. The other thing people talk about is the tie. And because I make the tie ridiculous. And I was the very first political cartoonist in the country ever to give him the extended tie, to draw it long. Now, some other cartoonists might say, no, he didn't, but I challenged him to prove me wrong. I had the date when I first started. I have it written down, but nobody, and there's no reward for that, or a award for that, but I am the first one to give him the long tie. And other cartoonists didn't copy me. They just finally caught on to it, because we all notice things. Sometimes it takes us a little while. It took me a little while to notice it too. But,
and then when you start noticing how long that tie is down, it's bizarre on him.
Then you get to give it a life of its own, and that gets almost as many comments as the hair.
Got it. All right. Last thing I want to ask you: is there any cartoon, recent or older, that you might want to apologize for today while you have this audience? Is there anything that from which you might have escaped impeachment by your own peers?
Oh, there probably is, but I can't really think of any right now. There's a lot of cartoons I regret. Either just the idea was bad, or maybe it went too far. I shouldn't have done that. I think I did something recently, like over the past year, that did make fun of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, come to think of it, that now look back, it's like, I probably shouldn't have done that. I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but I probably shouldn't have gone that far with it. I don't mind making fun of her when I draw her, but making that the point in the cartoon, probably not. And I think I did that, and looking back, I didn't catch any heat for it, but I think I probably shouldn't have done that one. I've done cartoons before that turned out later, may not, some of the issues, like on local issues. I was told something that wasn't true, or we reported something, and I did something on it that the next day is the guys. I wish I didn't do that one. I can't think of any particular ones. I'm talking about like years ago.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of cartoons that I did years ago that I disagree with now. Like I did a bunch of stuff about global warming just because I thought it was funny. Oh, it's cold, so this global warming doesn't exist. I wish I could take back all of those.
All right.
And a long time since I did one of those, but yeah.
Clay, have you collected any of your cartoons in book form? Are they available?
Yes. Actually, I'm going to move you again. There is a book, came out in 1997, and it's out of print, but I recently ordered a whole bunch of them, and I've been selling those on my site, and it's called Knee Deep in Mississippi. It's mostly local.
Okay.
And on the state, but it's a good collector's item if people want it. And yeah, there might be another book in the future.
And they can get those at claytoons.com?
Yes, they can. There's a link for it. Or they can email me at clayjones, JONZ, @gmail.com.
All right.
And you get a book.
And Clay, all right, so we're at that point where I want to tell people where they can find your work. So obviously I discovered it on Instagram, but you share on Twitter and Facebook also. But the main place you'd like people to go and see your stuff is on claytoons.com, CLAYTOONZ.com.
That's right. But if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you can click the link and go straight to it. If typing in claytoons.com is too much of a challenge, if you're a Republican, you may not be able to do it. So just go to the social media and you'll be able to find it. Instagram, I keep forgetting to post the links to the website. But if you follow me on Instagram, come aboard, click like on the cartoon, share them. Don't feel bad about sharing them and stuff like that. So,
and of course, I'm guessing you would not mind if people did the old-fashioned thing and call their local newspaper and ask them why they don't carry Clay Jones.
No, don't do it. Yeah, do that. Do that all day.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know what? Donald Trump is actually bad for business. So he's actually hurting us with the newspapers and everything.
Well, he's wiping out the newspapers, directly and indirectly.
But newspapers are afraid to run cartoons about Trump. They really are. And I lose clients all the time. People tell me, well, we can't run so many cartoons on Trump. And I've had some papers tell me that they will not run any cartoons about Trump, good or bad.
Wow.
They will not say, it's like we don't have a president right now. They would not have any
we don't.
about the president. Yeah, we really don't.
We don't.
But you think you draw a cartoon about that. But they will not run anything about Donald Trump. So he's actually not good for business. People think he is. Like, he's great for ideas. I mean, until they write themselves, when he writes the cartoons for us. But yeah, I want to be in more newspapers. The alternative newspapers are really doing well for me because they're not afraid of him or his readers. And those editors are bold. And I have like maybe 5 or 6 of those. And those are great. But your general newspapers are afraid of Donald Trump's readers.
Wow. I never thought about that. But yeah, that makes sense.
They're petrified.
Yeah.
I mean, the editors of the Dallas Morning News got death threats, not because of me, but when they start threatening to kill your editor, you may not want to run your cartoon anymore. So people stop doing that.
That could get to be a problem. I see that.
That's why I don't mind giving Republicans little digs.
All right. Well, listen, Clay, it's been great to get to know you today and to have you on and talk about this stuff. I've really enjoyed your work. I look forward to seeing it. And it actually, I don't know if you would realize this, but for whatever reason with the algorithm on Instagram, every time you've posted something new, it is always first on my Instagram feed. I don't know why. Maybe because I share it, maybe because I like it, but it shows up first every time. The minute you post something, it's the first thing, no matter when I look.
Are you always looking at 6 a.m. or something?
No, actually, well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe when I get up with the dog. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
7:30, something like that.
Maybe the dog has something to do with it. Yeah, I like dogs.
Yeah.
My cartoons are very dog friendly.
Well, I will. I hadn't thought to start showing him, but I will.
Hey, you want to hear another cartoon secret?
Sure.
Before we go?
Yeah.
One more, real quick.
All right.
If you throw a dog in your cartoon, more people will respond to it because people love dogs.
Interesting.
So anytime I can, there's a dog in one of my cartoons. Cats, not as much, but you get some response. Goldfish, hardly anything, but still dogs, everything.
Must kill you that Trump is not a dog person.
I know. That's another reason not to vote for a guy.
I agree. It'd only be worse if he was a cat person and not. But he's
yeah, that'd just be really suspicious. I
mean, he doesn't like children, animals, wives.
So, yeah.
Paying salaries.
I heard all the squirrels left the White House lawn. They just don't.
All right. Clay Jones, thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you, Mr. Media. It was great to be here. Thank you for all this. Thank you.
Receiver, turn your back on the deceiver. So bad idea to believe her. A bad idea to believe her. Turn up the stereo receiver. Turn up the stereo receiver.